Hello and welcome to Disc Covers, the only podcast online where we read, review, and rank all 41 of Sir Terry Pratchett's Discworld series of comic fantasy novels. I'm your host, Iris J, pronouns are she and they, and with me are my illustrious trio of co-hosts. Why don't y'all introduce yourselves?
Still BALINA, still she, they, myself, and still a work in progress.
I'm JUNIPER. My pronouns she, her, or goddess. And I finally have the actual book this week. I bought it. I'm excited.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. And I am the internet's beloved Princess Grace, pronouns she, her, sometimes fae, fair if you're in that kind of mood. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's good.
Oh, I didn't know you were trying on Neo pronouns. That's so cool.
I don't know, they bounce around my head sometimes, you know?
Ooh, I gotta try those out on there. That sounds great.
You do have fae things bouncing around your head most of the times. I follow you online.
It's true.
It's a good gender.
Yeah. Anyways, we're here today to talk about a book, we're here today to talk about a book! The sixth book in the
Which
series. It's a witch book, yeah, exactly.
Oh, no. Third
God
base,
damn it.
third base.
Which book?
Oh, how many times are we going to make that joke?
Every single time we do a book about these three.
I mean, it's what Sir Terry would have wanted, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
There was an Abbott and Costello routine in this book, for God's sakes.
There is! And a Laurel and Hardy routine. I would argue it's the same Laurel and Hardy routine that he tries in The Color of Magic, but it is accomplished more successfully here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of things worked better on this one, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yes. It's book number 6, Wyrd Sisters, released in 1988, later 1988, the same year as Sourcery was released, which is maybe the most surprising thing about this book.
Yeah, what the hell?
that still has me fucked up.
Yeah, like, he had to have had, like, a manuscript sitting around from earlier for Sourcery, because, like, this, like, I don't know how y'all felt, but to me, reading this book, previously it was like, okay, this is, like, early Terry. This is, like, we're seeing the first vague glimmerings of a Discworld novel. This book, for me personally, felt like, okay, this is the first actual Discworld book. This is the first one where, like, it's not perfect, but it feels like all of the parts are there.
Yeah, he's got it. His voice is definitely a lot more confident this time around. There are still definitely training wheels on the bike, but at least he's on a bike now.
Yeah, there's some parts that drag and some parts that don't fit, or at least some parts I was too American to really laugh at. But by and large, it was good.
That's good. That's a recurring theme with the Ram Tops books, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's kind of going to be a recurring theme. Normally we have a what's the most British thing in this book. That's kind of just the whole book this time.
Book.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Also, like, if you don't have at least, like, a decent memory of, like, Shakespeare from high school English, a lot of this book is going to be a lot more impenetrable to you.
Yeah. It's interesting. I really enjoyed it, though. I'm going to be interested to hear the debate at the end towards what's the best book, because I definitely think this is more of a Discworld book than anything we've read so far. I don't know if it's the best, but this feels more like what future books would be.
There are definitely reasons for that, and I'll get it. I keep saying we'll get into it later, but no, we really will get into that one in a little bit here. But let me go ahead and get that summary thing out of the way, since
our synoptrix BALINA.
Okay, let's see how many times I stumble over myself this time.
I believe in you.
Oh my God, Jinx, that's so cute.
Content warning, twinning kink.
Oh, my hair is already turning pink.
It's a good look on you.
Okay, if I could actually get a deep breath this time. Sixth book, third one to start in the Ram Tops. We were introduced to Granny Weatherwax and two neighboring witches, Nanny Og, who heads up a family that comprises half the Ram Tops population, and Margaret Garlick, the new agey type who is there because witches are not born old. Foul deeds are afoot in Lanker Castle as Duke Felmet, under direction of his wife, stabs and kills King Varence. He meant to also kill the infant prince, but the lad was smuggled out, given to the witches who sent him along with a roving band of actors with their own blessings. It's Hamlet, baby! Feldman is so incredibly bad at his job that the kingdom, that is, the actual land and animals and trees, are suffering from on a metaphysical and regular physical level. Feldman and his wife also try and fail to torture Nanny Ogg, so Granny pulls an insane plan to send the entire kingdom 15 years into the future. This works because time is relative. Meanwhile, Margaret has awkwardly fallen in love with the kingdom's resident fool who hates his job. Now, of a proper age to be a hero, the young Tom John has grown up to be supernaturally good at acting, and when the Duke sends the fool to act before looking for actors to put on a play to twist public perception and soothe his own neuroses, Tom John and the company are the obvious choice. The play itself goes off with every single hitch, including actors jailed mid-performance, equipment breaking, and the play itself being just wrong enough that the rules of drama won't let its lines be memorized. Which all makes for good cover, as Granny casts a glamour that makes the truth itself put words in people's mouths. The Duke flips out, has a very public confession, and eventually proves himself to be dead by way of dying. Again, just like Hamlet. Tom John is supposed to be crowned, but would rather be an actor, so it's a good thing that the fool is technically related to him. He takes the throne instead and does well enough that he doesn't really get mentioned for the rest of the series. These kind of reliably come into about 75 seconds, but, that's close enough.
That's okay. A lot happened in this book.
Yeah, there were parts of that went too fast for me to fully understand, but there were also parts of the book that I didn't fully understand, so it works.
Yeah, remember that whole, really long conversation about nuncles and mummers and ye faiths and prithies?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's like, what is this? Am I too American to understand this?
Absolutely.
This is joke just
Absolutely.
not working.
Yeah, these are
I'd like to quickly pause. Good job, BALINA. Thank you so much.
Thank you, BALINA. That was very nice.
BALINA.
That was very well done.
Yeah, everything about the Fool's Guild is... I've got this weird feeling that Terry Pratchett just had this enormous chip on his shoulder about some aspect of, standardized comedy for this, that we just don't... None of us did the research to actually find out what that is, because he wrote about the Fool's Guild with such an unbridled hatred.
If I had to guess, I would guess that, because, you see this with Roald Dahl's works, too, though Sir Terry doesn't hate children as much. It's I think if you're a British author of a certain age, you are probably traumatized by going to boarding school at some point in your life.
Probably, yes. I think a combination of that and also maybe, because he didn't exist in a vacuum, I'm wondering if people ever rode his ass for writing the wrong kind of jokes or not being funny in the way they wanted a spec fic author to be funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you assholes, if you think there's only one way to tell jokes, let me talk about people who think there's only one way to tell jokes.
I think a lot about the dedication. One of the earlier books, like book 2 or 3, where it said at the start, "Dear reviewers, this book is neither wacky nor zany."
That was equal rights.
There you go.
God.
Which, fuck you. I'm going to be funny in my own way. Don't put me in your box. I'm going to tell all the jokes I want about how kings sleep around.
Nobody puts Terry in a corner.
Speaking of jokes, I have to say, I think this was the funniest book so far.
Yeah.
I laughed more in this book than any of the other books so far. So many good bits.
I mean, part of that was that it kept throwing jokes a lot faster. It was, okay, there was an enormous number of just jokes about making little people quoting Hamlet without really thinking about it, and then the person next to them going, "The fuck did you just say?"
Yeah, is this a dagger I see before me? No, it's a handkerchief. Come on.
I love it. I love it. The story is Hamlet, but also because Lancre is Scotland, we've got to give the conniving Duke a very powerful Duchess wife lady who is basically Lady Macbeth, because the play also needs to be Macbeth.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me to my next question: did the Duchess effectively utilize girl power when she girl bossed her way into ruling Lancre?
She definitely gaslighted, and I can't think of anybody who gate kept more. Mm-hmm. I think she's a girl boss.
There were the literal gatekeepers, but they kept letting people go through.
And as a bonus, I think you cannot describe the Duke without those 3 words: manipulate, mansplain, male wife.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a great way to start this episode. I'm sure Terry would have appreciated it.
Oh yeah, Terry would have been a huge memester. He probably would have been up on the TikTok. Yeah, hi, TikTok teens, by the way. I hope you're enjoying our show.
We were very thrilled to see that one, actually.
I'm sorry that we'll never stop calling you TikTok teens. I know
okay.
large numbers of you are actually adults. It's
Yes.
just a fun alliteration.
Yeah.
The youth are our future, and we are terrified of them, so we're glad that they're on our side.
I'm sure they'll turn on us as soon as we finish doing this podcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially considering that, like, my favorite part of this book are the old people. I fucking love Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg. They're,
I have to say,
the best.
I was going to say on that, part of why I think the book was funny is the dynamic between the three witches was just fantastic.
Oh, yeah, no.
All of them had their own idiosyncrasies, and all of their idiosyncrasies played off against each other to the point that each of them could play the straight man for the other two in different scenarios.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. Yeah. With Granny being like very practical and very old school witches, but also kind of willing to make very poor choices for fun, and Nanny Ogg being singing The Hedgehog Cannot Be Buggered at All.
That's what that was.
Yes.
I'm so glad we got that.
That's come up in a previous book already, hasn't it?
I think
it has.
I have like a vague memory of like, yeah, the drunk wizard singing about it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Because we also got because there was a similar one about how a wizard staff has a knob on the end.
Yeah, lyrics for these songs exist. As far as I know, they're what little bits end up in the books combined with a bunch of, filk. But as far as I'm concerned, a wizard staff has a knob on the end and the hedgehog song have almost certainly the exact same melody. It's just a different set of lyrics on top of it.
Makes it easy to remember.
Granny getting drunk on literally anything and singing about hedgehogs is a running joke that thankfully never fully wears out its welcome, because Terry just never gets tired of finding weird ways to present it happening.
It was great, and I really loved. Is it Magrat?
It's Magrat. It's Magrat.
I love Magrat. She's so good.
It is supposed to be Margaret, but the person, the witch that handled the midwifery couldn't spell, so she got stuck with a misspelling. And unfortunately, it's misspelled so badly that it's pronounced wrong, too.
Yeah. I know that you mentioned that Magret doesn't really show up in the later books, but if I remember correctly, she does, and I like later on in the books, like, this is only a minor spoiler. She doesn't stay a witch forever, but she's still like a character in Lancre, and like, having an ex-witch in the series is just as interesting as having a young witch. Absolutely.
To be clear, I said that the king, King Varence.
Oh, the king, the king's
fool,
like...
The fool. He just he's a footnote.
He's there.
Yeah, I think he still exists, but he's just kind of there.
I do love that, like, this book we all know Sir Terry's politics, and the man does not like kings. He is anti-king. He is anti-monarchy. And it's very good, like, we saw some of this in Mort, but it really comes to a head here. We're like, nobody really likes kings. Kings fucking suck. They burn shit down. They take your money. Nobody likes them. They're bad.
I find it interesting to compare where he is in this book with Kings, which is a very, like, kings suck, but also sometimes you have a king, it's fine, it's whatever, who cares, to, like, future books with Vimes, where there's a very different approach to the concept of monarchy in general.
Yeah, like, it's weird that, like... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Iris.
Oh, I was going to say, I was talking to June about this before the show started. Like, I mentioned, like, I really like this book despite fundamentally disagreeing with one of its major tenets, and that's that.
Which is that a kingdom physically needs a king.
A kingdom requires a king. Literally, the land begs for a king to watch over it. Which, like, and from all accounts in the books, previous kings did not really give a hell of a crap about Lancre, the land, or its creatures or anything, other than like hunting and occasionally burning down thatch roof cottages. Burninating thatch roof cottages. Yeah. But like,
I think it's vague enough that you can read it a few different ways. Is it needs a king, or it just needs someone who isn't burning it all to the ground? It implies that it needs a king, but it's weird about it, which I feel like honestly reflects, like, I don't want to say that Pratchett was very much a dude trying to come to terms with his very, very human-first, humanist, like, I care about people most of all politics that would eventually lead to him being very interestingly leftist, but still also being a random British dude who had mixed feelings about royalty. But that's me projecting onto him, perhaps.
A lot of this is that the Lancre and like the Ramtops itself is a very old place. It is a place that runs itself off of tradition. It's as much as anything enough that it is a place with a momentous amount of inertia. It expects to have a king. It is whether he's a good king or a bad king itself isn't super important, but it expects there to be somebody in the castle running it.
But the Duke doesn't count. The Duke's a bad king.
The Duke outright wanted to cut down all of the forest because he was afraid the trees were looking at him.
Pratchett's approach to tradition is interesting for a while because he often successfully diagnoses that, like, sometimes the people who come in and say we're going to throw out all of the tradition and instead set up a factory here are shitty fascists who want to destroy your everything. Like in the very second book here, Color of Magic or The Light Fantastic, I will never remember which is which. But often that turns into him almost glorifying tradition, which I think is interesting to say, given that in much later books, that thread of things will stay the same, and that matters, because if they aren't, something can come in and destroy the status quo in a way that fucks people over, isn't a thing, because the status quo constantly changes.
Yeah, like, the latter half of the entire Discworld series is pretty much characterized by, like, the Industrial Revolution happens! Whoa!
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of future politics stuff in this book that I'm curious about and want to analyze, but I don't feel like I can until I've read more.
Yeah, and there's... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I think that, whether or not he's espousing tradition or progress also kind of depends on what regions he's doing.
Yeah.
The Ankh-Morpork, obviously, it's a city. All the progress starts there. There are, again, later books in the series are just entirely based off of, okay, we need this, we need that. Let's invent money. Let's invent the post office. Not in that order, but whatever. Again, we're talking like 4 years from now. None of us will remember having had this conversation. But again, places like Lancre never really change all that much, and we're going to be seeing a lot of this. And the entire character of Granny Weatherwax she is the traditionalist of the group. She is always going to be there for traditions, except when traditions get in the way, or except when traditions demand something of her personally, because that's just the kind of character she is.
I think that's something. I think one thing that I think Pratchett had a very good grasp on a lot of the time is, like, people are still going to be shitty people no matter what you do. And that is both, I think at first, a lot of that gets used for what it's used here, which is like, in the end, people are just going to be their normal shitty selves, and like, you just, having someone who wants to take over and manipulate them and do all of this shit is terrible. Sometimes just being traditional and normal and the status quo is okay, because otherwise people start a war and start burning witches at the stake and stuff. But I think eventually it gets put to much better use, especially as he takes a look at progress and says, maybe we don't actually have to say that just because I think people are genuinely kind of small-minded and shitty and assholes a lot of the time, that means the world has to be, and they all have to be. There's genuine progress, and like, the world gets better over the course of Pratchett's book without ever losing that central element of, like, in the end, you can rely on people being dumbass normal people who are, as a whole, selfish and kind of awful a lot of the time.
I'll be really interested to compare and contrast this to, I forget if it's the last Witches book. It's definitely a later series one that I liked a lot. Carpe Jugulum, the one about yuppie vampires.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about a Lancre book that is very concerned with notions of progress. That's an episode again for a couple years in the future. So we'll get to it when we get to it.
I think this is going to be an interesting podcast because I'm realizing I'm going to have political discussions on this podcast and reveal how little I know. Oh,
That's
God.
okay. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh no, I'm mostly joking.
But yeah, I think it was I thought it was a really cool book. And like, as much as I disagree with the whole notion of like, oh, land needs a king and shit, it did result in some very, very cool scenes. I think my favorite single scene in the book was the one where Granny comes outside and like it's like dead quiet and there's like every animal in the forest is just waiting outside of her house. Just
looking
staring at her. Like,
yeah, she just has to have an argument with herself because she knows what it's about.
I haven't had a moment in a Discworld book yet that's kind of given me the creeps on a level quite like that.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, God, I'm so glad we got to see some of the stuff Pratchett is really, really good at here.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyone else notice that, like, between there and, like, oh, we have to, like, go get Tom John back, there was, like, a weirdly long period of time? Seemed like there was kind of a long...
They were
like, the book is very good, but there was kind of a weird dragging period where, like, oh, we have... the land cries out for a king. Okay, let's ask this demon, what does he say? He says the land needs a king after we threatened to flush him or whatever.
I will say, the demon part did have the joke that made me laugh the most in the entire book.
Yeah.
Which is the demon saying its name and Nanny Og just going, "Where were you when they handed out all the vowels?" That made me laugh harder than anything else because I've seen so many demons with names like that in fantasy books like this, and it cracked me up.
I liked that whole scene. I have to admit, I'm a sucker for those moments of like, well, we don't really need to go get all that fancy stuff. Here, just grab stuff off the walls. And then when the demon is it looks like you're just holding the copper stirring rod, and the Granny just swings it and just chops something in half.
It was a good bit.
That's sick.
She's that good at just...
This is the opposite of the wizards in the Rite of Ashkente. They don't need the fancy trappings, but because they're witches, it works.
Yeah, the threats, the like you're in a... I forget what it was. It was like, they threatened to like boil him away or whatever.
Yeah, the copper still, I think it's used for laundry. That's why it was unused, was because Nanny Og's many, many, many daughters-in-law and nieces and the like do her laundry and stuff, so she never does it herself. And that's also why the soap flakes and so on and so forth.
I was gonna say I do agree with Grace. I think part of it is a lot of the scenes work better. There is kind of a long, like, weird, not slow, but the entire section from like, oh, okay, we may have to fix this land when Nanny Og gets kidnapped or gets captured, and they set up to maybe do the spell, and then they do the spell, and then we get more of the theater in Ankh-Morpork and more scenes with the Fool. I think it does drag plot-wise a bit, but I think a lot of the scenes are good, and that just you don't notice because the scenes are funny and entertaining.
Yeah, like there's a lot, but it seems like we figure out what we have to do, then there's a lot of, like, fucking around before they actually get to fixing it, but, like, each individual scene on the way was really good. Like, for example, we learned that Nanny Og would at least be willing to fuck a demon.
Yeah. I mean,
Nanny Og would be willing to fuck a lot of things.
Let's be clear, she has an enormous family. That means she had to fuck at least a few times.
Yeah, like, it's very good to, like, look, there are 3 genders of witch, fucking constantly, familiar with the concept, and has no idea what sex is.
Nanny Og would be insulted, Balina, that you implied she only fucked a few times.
I set a baseline. I was allowing her to keep her modesty.
There's only 3 kinds of witch: incel, volcel, and fucks.
Like, it's very...
Oh, God.
Like, it's very good that, like, Magritte has, like, one of the key duties of a witch is, like, midwifery, which she has done and she's good at, but she doesn't know what comes before that.
That's a really good joke, honestly. Yeah. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, what is, it's when they're at the theater, right? And Granny doesn't quite understand what this whole theater business is. She has got views on the whole situation. And that's also where we find out that, again, Megra doesn't know what sex is, and the other two are like, well, you've done the midwifery. Are you familiar with what comes before that? It's very good.
It's a good bit. I think honestly part of I really like the way the witches were portrayed in this book, because it makes fun of them all constantly, but never implies that they are bad or failures or not the very powerful and deserving of your respect protagonists of the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It feels like sometimes, looking at the last few books, I didn't respect.
This is the first time. This might be the first time that we've ever actually had characters with chemistry, let alone 3 characters with chemistry.
Yeah. They really had good chemistry.
And I'm just suddenly remembering here, I know that there's the big deal about the 15-year time skip, but the fact there's a 1-year time skip in there, and that is such a small footnote that I honestly forgot about it until we were midway into this discussion. That it's that whole section does just kind of drag, because they've got to establish that things are going bad, and they're going worse, and they're going worse, and okay, fine, we can't wait 15 years, we got to deal with this tonight. And, that is a decent enough arc. And again, all the individual scenes were good, but the plot itself just kind of sputters because he's introducing and characterizing 12 different characters.
Mm-hmm. If I had to just randomly assume things, I would say that maybe Pratchett had a very good idea for how the book is set up, a very good idea for how the book ends, and a cool possible idea of how to make it work, but not really a good idea of how to get the plot there. And just kind of faffed around out a lot in the middle. But
I'm picturing a lot of index cards with scene concepts pinned up on a big board, and then just trying to thread them together. Because like you said, there's plenty of scenes that work well, and the feeling of it dragging.
The dungeon scene.
The dungeon scene was incredible.
Yeah.
And also I might be alone in this opinion, but I really liked following along Huel and Tom John and the theater kids. They kind of are there to break up the action during the later parts of the book. And it's neat to kind of see this from the other end of the telescope, where it's a book about tradition and kings and all this other stuff. But it's also kind of about the creative process and about kind of what Huel is this dwarf who's clearly channeling the works of Shakespeare through his brain, because
for God's sakes, his name is as close to Will as you can write without it being obvious.
Exactly.
I expected him to have a last name of Wigglepike or something.
But it's interesting to see this character portrayed as he constantly struggles between trying to get his ideas down exactly as he sees them in his head, and also having to struggle with the very real feeling of burnout and making the numbers add up, and actors who don't necessarily live up to their roles, and
executive meddling.
Yeah, executive meddling, having to take shitty commission work just to build out their cool new theater. It's
what if I'm not good enough to execute on my ideas?
Right, yeah. What if I can't get out all of the ideas that won't stop pouring into my head? I thought that was really fascinating too.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they make him a very relatable and genuinely oh wow, I care about this character, when also constantly using him to reference Marx Brothers films, which
yeah.
What did y'all think of that bit?
A lot of groaning, mostly.
Did you catch the Godfather reference later in the book? That was out of nowhere.
I loved it. I found it hilarious. I'm sorry. I thought it was so good.
Get ready for an entire book of that kind of thing with moving pictures, which is not far in the future.
Oh god, I'm not excited for that, but here I enjoyed it. Mostly because of the constant making the joke and then someone else being What the fuck?
Yeah,
What?
what
What
the
are
hell
you
is
talking
this?
about? What?
Like he woke up laughing because he had a silent dream about Charlie Chaplin and just could not figure out how you would ever explain that to anybody.
Yeah, they turn it into like this weird tragic gag of I can't explain modern media to anyone in my life. And it was genuinely the tragedy of it is what made it funny to me.
You're not ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
Exactly.
I mean, I threatened this one saying we'll talk about this one later a few times, but I can actually remember to say it now.
It's later, baby.
Yep. Every single witch book is at its heart a book about stories.
Yeah.
And none of them quite as literally as Wyrd Sisters, because we've got a literal playwright running around here, and we've got a story that ends up reshaping the narrative in its telling. And the fact that the play that Quell gets commissioned to make, which is supposed to just make everybody remember the witches as just cackling hags who make everybody's lives worse, which is only like half true, let's be honest. They don't really cackle they only cackle once or twice a piece.
Yeah, they provide a valuable service to the community in addition to being cackling hags.
Right.
They're not green.
And the fact that everything was just wrong, and the fact that it was driving right up the wall, and the fact that nobody could remember their lines because the lines weren't right. All of that hit really hard. That was really good, very evocative, and painfully familiar at times.
Yeah, that fucking ruled. That was my favorite part of the book. It all comes together. It hits that really good, like, part of my brain that, gets weird and magical about stories. It's good.
And we will be engaging in it in a different way in a few months here when we do another witch book. But again, the series is always going to be like this when we get to do witch books.
Yeah.
I'd argue that it's like this all the time, honestly. It never stops being about stories. The witch books maybe most of all, but all of them are about stories.
That's fair. I like the witch books a lot because they put that such on the surface, though. And if I had to pick out like a single like kind of like sub-thread, like a sub-series within the Discworld canon, I think the witches are probably my favorite. Again, a lot of these I'm rereading for the first time in many years, so I'm not willing to call that one as dead-ass my opinion forever just yet, but
I definitely appreciate it a hell of a lot more than I used to. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm reading. I've never read the witches books, except for the one that's maybe most about stories because it's making fun of Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
I've read that one and it's fucking great.
So, I'm sorry, excuse me, nerd continuity error time. Okay, if Ankh-Morpork had never seen a theater before, which they build the disc in this book, which is the world, it's Shakespeare's The World. If Ankh-Morpork had never seen a theater, before... Yeah, the Globe Theater. How come there's an opera house that has history?
Do you want the actual explanation for that?
Is it that opera technically counts as a different thing than theater?
No, it's that Terry Pratchett used Thief of Time to retcon all of his mistakes.
I gotta reread Thief of Time. Holy shit.
I need to send a copy of Thief in Time 20 years in the past. Oh, wait, I did read it. Damn, I'm good.
Oh!
No, but yeah, I literally was looking up stuff about this book, and I just saw something that mentioned, there's this weird continuity error, and the explanation is, Thief of Time breaks time. That's a plot element, and that's a bit of a spoiler, and Pratchett used that to just be like, well, everything makes sense now. It all makes sense, don't worry about
Thief of Time was his Crisis on Infinite Discs.
Yes.
Oh, God. Finally, we can meet Rincewind Prime.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I really hate to tell you this, Grace, but we're going to do that when we read Eric in a few months.
Oh, no!
Don't
Why did you remind
remind
me?
We get to read Guards first. I'm
true.
focusing on that.
God,
That's true.
You guys are not, you're not selling me out in some of these books, which I realize is the point, but, oh, don't worry, we'll get to the shitty books, don't worry.
Guards is really good, and it sets things up for Feet of Clay, which is phenomenal. and Night Watch, which is probably, like, I don't want to call it early here. It's if it's not going to be the best book on our list, it's definitely going to be top 5. Like, it's worth the slog.
I am the watch. If you think the Witches series is your favorite, my series will. If it is not still the watch series at the end of our read, I will do something very silly and figure out what that is later.
Eat your hat, as the saying goes.
I don't have a good hat to eat. Oh. I'll figure something out. But it has always been my favorite, and it resonates with me deeply, and I can rant about why, and I'm so excited to get started on it. Even if I think Guards isn't as good as you remember, it's still very, very good. And then eventually we hit Men at Arms and Feet of Clay, which are... I think that Feet of Clay is going to be up there in the best books. It's got a subplot that doesn't work at all, but it's got a plot that works really well.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay, but actually back in the present.
Yes, about the book we are actually talking about.
I would like to point out that this is the first book that has a proper title drop in it. The Color of Magic does, like, that's part of the narration. It's whatever. Mort doesn't count because it's just the main character's name. But Felmet does say, "Get back to your cauldrons, Wyrd Sisters." Or, as the Joker calls them, normal sisters.
Holy shit!
What did y'all think of Felmet, by the way? And the Duchess?
I imagined him as being like a shithead Woody Allen. So like Woody Allen.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good... Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I will say that on one level, I don't think he was a very sympathetic portrayal of neurodivergent people. But on the other level, I really didn't have any sympathy for him because he was a murderer and also a jerk. So...
And also a duke.
And also a duke. And a douche, which is French for douche.
So there was a whole bit where, like, throughout the entire book his hand keeps bleeding and it's always wrapped in bandages because that was the hand he did the murdering with. Is the joke that he keeps scrubbing it with steel wool and wool and like scrapers and cheese graters or whatever, and it keeps bleeding because he keeps fucking scraping it with steel wool.
He's trying to wash the blood off because, because this is Hamlet.
Yeah.
But he can't get it off because he's literally scraped all the skin off of it and it's just bleeding constantly. Oh. Yes, that is exactly what he's doing.
That is more of a Macbeth thing, I believe.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I slept through most of my Shakespeare classes.
Like, there is still some Macbeth happening with the wind.
It's kind of half Hamlet. It's like half Hamlet and half Macbeth.
Yeah,
and then a little pinch of like Richard III in there.
Yeah.
I will say I enjoyed him as a villain mostly just because I think Pratchett writes much better characters as villain than Eldritch monstrosity as villain.
I'm glad. I'm glad a human was the bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to just briefly mea culpa here. At the end, the actual name of the play that they put on, they just simply call it the Lanker play. So yes, that they're just outright calling it Macbeth.
Hey!
Yeah.
Hey!
I will say, fun thing that I did notice. I don't know if you other disc heads spotted it, but did you notice at the end when like Death comes to collect the Duke, he doesn't bring a sword along with him. Swords.
He only brings the sword for kings.
And the Duke did not count as a king.
That is a very good stealth diss.
He wasn't a real one.
That's a good bit.
No, he never got coronated.
Honestly,
they couldn't find the crown.
Yeah.
Actually, on that note, I fucking loved Death in this book.
Death
suddenly on stage and having to perform. That's such a good situation to put
the
Death
bit about where people could see him because they expected to see Death, and therefore Death couldn't be ignored. That's so good.
Like Death getting stage fright.
The Duke's trying to kill people with a fake dagger, and then it just being like, "Well, there's your magic sword that the hero has."
His entire extended breakdown was just absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that he's just insisting that he's dead, and Death is just staring at the hourglass of the fool just after he's been stabbed and just being extremely confused.
Also, the fool's hourglass has bells on it.
Yes. I wonder if it still has them after he stops being the fool.
Oh, probably.
I mean, he did make a big show of like taking off the hat with the bells on it and throwing it down.
Even without the bells, you can exist as an antithesis to wearing bells.
Yeah.
That's an interesting diversion, though. What did y'all think of The Fool?
Mostly sympathy.
Yeah, I did tear up a little bit when I think it was he who said only when we dream we are free. The rest of the time we need wages.
That was a well line.
That was such a fuck of a line.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit. What
God.
an incredible drop! At the end of a throwaway joke paragraph. Fuck, I love that.
He had a bunch of great lines. I don't know if Pratchett intended it to be as meaningful as it was, kind of the portrayal of him as someone so fundamentally caught up in the belief that this is the only way his life could have meaning, that he's forced into it even when he has no reason to keep doing it. But it fucking worked for me, honestly.
It was beautiful.
Would you say The Fool is an example of a trans allegory?
I mean,
I don't know if I'd say a trans allegory, but as someone who grew up in a cult, I certainly found it relatable.
Oof.
It certainly reads as less trans than Rincewind Rincewind, you're a shitty wizard. Why don't you stop being a wizard? But I'm a wizard. That's what I have to be. I'm a wizard.
It worked well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you just pointed out the Fool is better at being Rincewind than Rincewind was.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean,
Yeah.
for one thing,
the same character is constantly running from everything. It's just the Fool actually has a level of interesting depth to him.
also the Fool's allowed to have sex.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
Rincewind has
true.
canonically fucked, but the Fool's not required to not fuck.
This is background stuff, but yeah, the king will only be mentioned as a footnote. Magret will show up several more times. There are several more books of her as a witch, and she will eventually marry the Fool, and they will have an heir. So they at least fuck once. Unless someone jumped over the fence of the palace again, and we're just time being a flat circle. Yeah. But let's just presume that everything goes as planned.
They definitely, maybe, figure it out. And good for them.
No, I am positive they do, because you saying that just suddenly made me remember some distant memory of Magret finally having to learn what sex is, and just thorough experimentation before they finally got it to work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I am looking at Verence the Second of Lanker's entry on Wikipedia, and they mentioned that in a later book, Verence and Magret finally marry, and in fact, they later have a daughter, Princess Esmeralda Margaret Note Spelling of Lanker.
Nice. Nice.
That's such a good bit.
That's
yes, it
really
is.
good.
I'm excited to see more of Lanker in general. I'm very excited to read more Witches books.
Yeah. Oh my god.
What did y'all think of Tom John and just kind of the playwrights in general, but specifically Tom John as a character?
I loved the actors. I loved their whole dynamic. I loved. I noticed that Tom John certainly had some gender going on.
Mm-hmm. Tom John and Hwell had good chemistry together, and again, that is the second example in the series, and both of them are in this book of characters actually working well with one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're friends, and you believe that they're friends.
Yes. I wonder if that's part of why this book feels like the first real Discworld book, honestly. Because it's kind of the first one, I'd say, where you had characters where it's this character likes the people around them, and is happy where they are, and doesn't hate everything in a cynical, shitty way. They're just kind of I want to exist with these people. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
The witches like each other. They act like they hate each other sometimes, but they definitely like each other. The playwright definitely seems like a real family of sorts.
Yeah, it's a nice found family of actors situation. Tom John and Hwell enjoy each other's company. They go out. We shouldn't, but they go out drinking together. They have whole bits about you want to go to, you want to go to this dwarf bar, or what about that troll bar over there? Oh, you wouldn't like it. It's all molten rocks for drinks and rock music.
Music with rocks in it, technically.
Yeah.
No.
Show up for a few more books.
At this point, it's literally music by banging rocks against one another.
Music with rocks in is a different thing.
I liked that. Tom John's whole like ending thing is that it isn't just about him refusing the crown because he doesn't want to be king. He actively really wants to carry on his adopted father's legacy. And it's this really sweet scene of like, he really loved the shit out of Vitolier. And that was like, it was really affecting because he was like, I want to be like my dad. I want to live up to him. And it's like, oh man, like that, that probably meant a lot to like adopted kids out there. I don't know. That was a sweet little ending for him.
I think he really could have been a bit more. I think written slightly worse. He could have been the things he can do. Like he definitely has like his ability to just recite any line on command and basically look like anyone because that's what he can do. Which trans, goddammit. Yeah. But yeah, like doing those, he really could have felt not like too powerful, too weird, and not in any way a real character. Yeah. But the fact that his approach to all of this is just like, no, I want to be a good actor because I really like my dad and I look up to him a lot, really grounded him in a way that worked great.
It wasn't that he was like under characterized. It was more just like he was pretty open. He wasn't like too complex of a character because he didn't need to be. It was just he was a lighter character to counterbalance all this other darker shit going on elsewhere in the book, which was nice.
It worked great.
Yeah. Speaking of parts we liked, I also have got to say that like while the 15-year time skip was pretty abrupt and pretty obviously like a narrative artifice to like get the story rolling, I will say that like I feel like the examples of witches exhibiting magic in this book are so much cooler than wizards exhibiting magic in our previous book, just because like there's so much less of it, so that when they do it, it's like more startling and it feels like there's more weight to them actually doing things. The 15-year time skip is this like impossibly difficult spell that like Granny is only able to do by like racing on her broomstick, going really, really fast around the entire border of the country before dawn. And also Nanny gets a bunch of her kids to like hold rooster beaks' mouths shut so they can't crow to signal that it's dawn.
Yeah, and Nanny and Margaret have to like fly up there and like in-flight refuel Granny's
with
broomstick.
Magic.
Like that's good.
It felt like a heist movie kind of a setup where it's like we have to do all of this crap just to like make this one really tricky loophole of a spell work. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
I liked the fact that Granny has just apparently really taken the flying ever since, equal rights, but at the same time she's become far, far more dangerous. Because, like everything else in her life, rules don't apply to her. Rules are for everybody else to stay out of her way.
Did you notice they had a callback to Equal Rights where she, like, went back to, like, the mechanic dwarves and bullied them into souping up her broom so it went really, really fast?
Yeah.
They still didn't fix the starter problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and there's a whole bit about how, birds had to rapidly evolve to, like, fly on their backs so they could see her coming, and Nanny Ogg says something like, gosh, I hope she hasn't happened to someone.
It was good. It was a good bit. I will say, I'm going to criticize it. I thought it was a bit confusing at times. It there was a lot going on and I'm not sure it fully like explained everything. But I think it really was carried by Nanny's force or Granny's force of personality and the idea of what was going on, so that when it happened and when you saw it happen, it was just like, fuck, that was cool.
I think what could have been explained a little bit better is that what happened wasn't that they were just like yanking the gears of time forward. What they were doing was like essentially like cordoning off the entire country and then making everywhere else go 15 years into the future. So for Lancre, it was only a week. For everyone else, is 15 years. And Lancre is such an isolated, backwater that nobody really noticed.
Yeah, there's like a handful of folks who like, dang, a lot more news from out of town.
They never talk about like what it was like for people visiting Lancre in those 15 years they were gone.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Which they mentioned.
There's a fun fanfic idea.
They mentioned Black Alice a lot, and about how she's essentially the origin of like the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale and like the Hansel and Gretel and shit like that. Which I want to read a book about her. She seems fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, remember her gingerbread cottage was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was. I mean, apparently she died in that house.
Yeah. Shit. That's grim.
Yeah.
I assume it was just like people would come by and I don't know, maybe everyone was asleep or like there was some sort of like force field or something. Anyways, they don't really go into that. And like I was confused for a little bit in the book until like I caught up with enough jokes that I could piece together like, oh, okay, so not everybody's like older, same age. It's just they jumped forward in time.
Yeah. There's a number of really good bits with Black Alice, including like, I think they, in the end, convinced Granny to get on board with this whole time business is by, well, Black Alice couldn't do that, but, I bet you could, really, appeal to the sense of vanity and the sense of spite.
If you need to make Granny Weatherwax do anything, all you gotta do is make it a challenge to her ego.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And it works beautifully. It is a very good character beat that you can reliably use to get a character to do something you need them to do. But, everything about that scene was, again, the witches play off well against one another.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear, remember Black Alice, remember the fact that a bunch of these old Grimm's fairy tales have actually happened, because that will become important later.
What was your favorite gag in the book?
Oh, I have this unlocked. So, there's a bit where I think it's the Fool is like, it's the Fool, and I think also the Ghost of the King, or like, basically there's a bunch of, there's the Hall of Portraits, there's a bunch of tapestries and stuff, and it lists off a bunch of old kings, and it would always be like, King dipshit, ruled from 600 to, 625 or whatever. They would have, king, range of years in parentheses, standard shit. And this goes on for about half the book until we finally get the payoff, which is, we meet Lancre's first and only vampire king, who ruled for, 5 separate periods of years.
Yeah, non-consecutively.
A total of something like 70 years. But yeah, because she just kept killed and revived over and over again.
I had a bunch of different favorite gags, but I think the one that... My favorite gag that also was like a character beat was, it's on page 130 if you're reading along in the Harper Torch fiction copy. There are thousands of good reasons why magic doesn't rule the world. They're called witches and wizards, Margaret reflected as she followed the other two back to the road. It was probably some wonderful organization on the part of nature to protect itself. It saw to it that everyone with any magical talent was about as ready to cooperate as a she-bear with a toothache, so all that dangerous power was safely dissipated as random bickering and rivalry. There were differences in style, of course. Wizards assassinated each other in drafty corridors. Witches just cut one another dead in the street. And they were all as self-centered as a spinning top. Even when they help other people, she thought, they're secretly doing it for themselves. Honestly, they're just like big children. Except for me, she thought smugly.
Oh, God.
If you ever needed a reminder that this was written about the same time as Sourcery, there it is.
But this is so much funnier of a way to say that.
Yeah,
it absolutely is.
I love, and like, that's so, because, like, Margaret's, like, the new age, flower power, vegan, crunchy, kind of scientist approach witch. So, like, it's great to be like, yes, like, I'm absolutely aware of all of the issues that witches have, and we absolutely need to move forward. Except for me, because I clearly am the right one.
I think my favorite, I've mentioned that I actually enjoyed all of the bits of just, here's a random piece of, like, modern media that he's incredibly annoyed won't work, and also the one joke about vowels. But I think my actual favorite gag was the I'm just a lady picking up wood. Don't worry, just trying to find wood in the forest. So all 3 of them in order. It was so funny.
It's that in the won't you let me in? I'm just a simple apple seller. And which is to
right then,
knowledge,
apples.
Which, to Granny's knowledge, has never actually worked, but it's traditional.
And then it works 3 times.
I love how it went for each of their characters. Like with the wood thing, like Granny plays it up as hard as possible because it's traditional, and if anyone questions her on it, she will make them stop questioning her. Magrette's just like, well, yeah, of course, just it's believable enough, it doesn't matter, and here I'll rant about something like it's not really a thing as much as it's the thing that she has to do. And then Nanny just uses it as an excuse to get on the cart and start hanging and get a smoke.
And eat their lunch.
Yeah, it's great.
All of their lunches.
It plays into all of their characters, and the thing is, it also works. They all succeed.
Okay,
They're all good at being witches. They're just also like this.
Yeah.
That one specific moment where Nanny pulls out a pouch of tobacco, says, "Hey, does anybody have a match?" And like 4 people immediately get matches to her. She goes, "Oh, lovely." And then puts the pouch away. Now, does anybody have any tobacco?
Yeah, that was really good. I wrote that one down too.
God, Nanny is like perfect. She's what I want to be when I grow up. She's amazing.
She's so great at this.
Yeah. Balina, do you have a favorite gag at all, or?
I think I always have trouble picking. What I just said there was one of the bits where I laughed the hardest, but I don't know if I have a really specifically. I do not want to try to sit here and narrow it down, which is a chicken shit answer. But
Yeah.
I just enjoyed way too much of this book to pick one. Okay, if I had gun to my head, Felmet trying to convince Death that he's dead until he eventually screws up and kills himself.
I would never put a gun to your head while discussing a Discworld book. Please, we're civilized people here.
Now,
we're still only like 6 books into the debate at the end.
Yeah, we
Just
haven't
wait.
gotten to the point where we have to argue where to put something in the midst of 30 other books. So
That's fair.
we will work our way up to like Pocket Knives or something around 12 or 13 books, and then we'll go from there. I expect we'll probably be either using artillery or at least very large swords.
We're going to be getting to like John Wick shit by then.
Balina, you have my word that I will only ever point a ray gun at your head as part of a negotiated Cape Kink scene.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Just to tick all the boxes that we usually cover every episode. There were a lot of extremely fucking British jokes in this book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the one that really took the cake for me, "It's gone too far this time," said a peasant. "All this burning and taxing and now this. I blame you, witches. It's got to stop. I know my rights." "What rights are they?" said Granny. "Dunnage, cowage and ordinary, badinage, leftovers, scrummage, clarion, spunt," said the peasant promptly. "And acornage every other year, and the right to keep 2/3 of a goat on the common, until he set fire to it. It was a bloody good goat, too." "A man could go far knowing his rights like you do," said Granny. "But right now he should go home." That is...
That's so good. It's so... Oh, yes, well, we've got the Middlesex here, you know?
That's so British, I'm not sure even British people understood it.
The droit de ségur joke.
Yes.
The fact that actually had a payoff was the incredible part.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. I think part of the reason this book works so much better is because so many of the jokes weren't just, here's a groaner joke, it's not very good, but I worked real hard to make it, and you appreciate it. They did that, and then they would make a joke out of that.
Yeah,
like the fact that, as we said with like the wealth stuff, it wasn't just, here's modern media, it was, here's modern media, then someone else goes, what are you talking about, or is confused or stunned at how weird it is. It makes the joke work because it's not just sitting there meaningless.
There's some genuine, there's a number of dick jokes in here. This one feels like it has more raunchy jokes than the others.
Thanks, Nanny.
Like I just said, for one thing.
Ribbled.
Like, did any of you actually look up what a droit de ségur is?
Yes, I did. It's prima nocta.
Good.
I looked that up when I started because, otherwise this, we get a number of dick jokes. We get a number of droit de ségur jokes.
For the benefit of the audience, the joke throughout the series is that everyone just thinks that it's some kind of dog because the kings always talk about exercising it. It is, to put it very, very briefly, when you get married, the king's allowed to fuck your wife.
Yeah, which probably never happened in real life, but it's a very common and pervasive idea.
Right, and the idea that they put out there is at the end that supposedly the king had boinked the fool's mother, but what had actually happened is that the fool's father had boinked the queen. So
Hey!
Tom John and the fool had the same father, but it wasn't the father everybody expected. But the witches aren't going to tell anybody that part because it works. That's the important thing.
And who says royalty can't be matrilineal? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole joke I wrote down about how they're talking about, that great big hairy thing of his droit de seigneur.
God. I mean, I think that's part of that thing with the Fool does play into kind of the theme of the book, which is it's not the actual tradition that matters. It's the fact that people believe in the tradition.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to have an heir to the throne. You just have to have enough people believe that this is the heir to the throne, and that'll make it work.
Yeah.
Look, in 50 years, who cares?
Yeah.
Unless someone writes a play about it.
Hey-o. Also, my favorite footnote in the book was probably the one about the Thieves Guild, because they explain the Thieves Guild in detail for the first time in this book.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Which is great.
I love the Thieves Guild. I love the idea of just making your taxation work by actually making it theft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good bit, and this is also the first time we really see who Vetinari is. Me loudly complaining in the previous episodes, that's not Vetinari. This is Vetinari.
This is our first true Vetinari. They say literally at the end of the footnote that, once again, compared to the patrician of Ankh, Machiavelli could not have run a whelk stall. He, oh man. And, you get, receipts for when you get stuff stolen so that you can't get stuff stolen, and this means richer people organize to have their stuff stolen every year so that they don't have to have stuff stolen later. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a really good bit that, okay, well, while we're here, can we, rob you now, get it out of the way?
Yeah.
And there's the whole scene where, the thieves are genuinely worried because they accidentally stole too much. He's a clown. Who knew he'd have this much money on him?
Yeah, it was great.
We're going to see a lot more guild bullshit coming soon.
Oh, good.
Yes. That brings me to another question. What did y'all not like about the book? This is something I'm kind of thinking about. What did y'all think didn't quite work?
I've said my piece. It does drag kind of between finding out what the problem is and before they start trying to solve it. And there was a lot of again, I'm gonna keep harping on. What was that? What the fuck was that scene where the ill faith, mama, nuncle, Prithee? Well, you could call me Prithee. That's fine. What was that?
I think it's weird jester talk.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean that kind of nonsense will show up here and there if people just he has to talk like this because that's the way the guild told him he has to tell his jokes.
Yeah. It's this might be. So
go ahead. Okay.
This might be me being too American, but they sure do Pratchett sure does like to transcribe people's accents in a really impenetrable way.
It is a separate joke that even the fools know that absolutely nobody actually gets their jokes except for the people who have extremely highly trained and highly quote unquote civilized.
Yeah. No one could understand no one could understand his jokes except for the top 5 lords of comedy at the Fools Guild or whatever.
God, reminds me of indie comics.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's stuff that probably made a lot. It was probably easier to follow it 30 years ago if you were also British, but not everything's going to age well.
Yeah. I think that if I have to pick out particular scenes, there was that one scene during the dungeon scene where Magritte gets sexually menaced by a guard and the fool has to step in and preserve her dignity, which I thought was weirdly retrograde for an otherwise pretty not like that book. That was a little much. That didn't that could have used a few rewrites.
That didn't have to be. He could have just normal menaced her.
Normal menace, because they're already witches and criminal witches. Come on.
Yeah.
Ugh. And
I thought some of the stuff with the kingdom, being angry, really worked, but some of it just it felt just kind of vague.
Yeah.
I think that explaining it a bit more, or better yet, having the king actually start trying to cut down the forest or fuck it up in some way, in a way that made you go, oh, okay, a bad thing is happening that needs to be stopped. Like, I feel like that could have made it work a lot better.
You could have had a whole scene where, the Duke sends some folks to try and clear cut the forest, and they get attacked by rabbits or whatever.
God, I just realized that's the reason that made, like, Mort work that this book doesn't have, is that it doesn't have a ticking clock. It doesn't have stakes.
Yeah.
That feel immediate.
Yeah, it hints at them a lot, but it doesn't have any.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that what sort of thing was in the version he wrote before he went, okay, no, I'm skipping these 15 years. I'm not going to write 15 more chapters like this.
Yeah, you can't just write 15 years of, like, things got way worse and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know that this guy sucks.
Yeah.
The time skip is a great thing, and like I really enjoyed the scene of it, but
yeah,
I feel like it just could have made a bit more sense as like bad things are going to start happening. I think I did it a bit with watching the populace slowly turn against the witches. Like that filled it in for me.
Yeah.
That was where I was like, oh, something bad is happening that is going to continue to have an effect.
I don't think there was enough Greebo.
Yeah.
Every time Greebo wasn't on the page, I was like, where's Greebo?
What is Greebo up to? I
What's
see him
Greebo
grabbing
up to?
He's grabbing a fool. He's peeing on a tapestry. Like, that's who it was with the Vampire King.
Yeah.
Yes, it was because that, yes.
All Greebo all the time, baby. Anyway.
When are we going to get a Greebook?
Oh, we will get a book with a lot of Greebo.
Oh,
we will get,
yeah,
God, I don't want to spoil it, actually. I'm excited for Masquerade.
We're going to get so much Greebo in Masquerade. Good news, Andrew Lloyd Webber fans and cat lovers. I realize that Venn diagram is a circle, but we got a book made just for you.
Yeah, don't worry. We are literally contractually not allowed to have Nanny Og without Greebo.
Thank goodness.
I could have done without knowing about Greebo's accomplishments.
It's weird that Pratchett just calls him a rapist, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's weird. Again,
especially because later he becomes like a character.
A little too on the ribald side.
I just took a good chunk of psychic damage remembering that. I'm gonna go after this. I'm gonna have to go make myself.
Oh God, you're right. Oh shit. Oh. I'm okay. No, Yeah, no, I remember that part. Fuck. Yeah, wow, shit. That doesn't look good in retrospect, does it?
I think I missed that part, and I'm going to keep missing it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Keep missing it until it pops up when you least expect it.
Are y'all talking about what I said, or are you talking about a thing that happens in a future book?
In a future book. It's
yeah,
weird.
Yeah, just we'll worry about that stuff later.
Don't worry about it. Anyways.
Well, there's a lot to go over.
Yeah, so... was there anything else we wanted to discuss with this book at all, or should we hop towards the rankings?
And I did have one or two more things I want to say. One of which is,
fire away.
We do get some, some winks and nods to the earlier books. We get the town of Badass mentioned again, where I think it's where Cohen is from.
No, Badass is from Esk.
There we go.
Esk was from.
Yeah. So we get the town of Badass, and the librarian is in here briefly, who I always appreciate.
That was nice.
I like the librarian shows up just long enough to cave somebody's skull in.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah,
it's like a little cameo, just to be like, hey, remember this guy from that other book you just read that was worse? Here he is again. He's the best part of that book. He's a good part of this book.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that giant came from, because I don't think we're going to see that ever again, but...
I think they meant a giant metaphorically. He was just a big guy.
Because, that
had to have been it.
He was clearly dressed up like a biker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very obvious scene, but it's, the big guy is mean to Well, because he's a small guy, and then he gets his face punched in. It's very satisfying. What more do you need?
We get a little taste of that good old-fashioned Ankh-Morpork fantasy racism that will become more central to the series later on.
Also,
and even more explicit, especially once we get to the watch stuff.
Oh boy.
Also, there's a whole thing where, there's this storm that keeps coming back as a character, and the storm is, keeps studying under other greater storms and really wants to make it big.
I love how...
There's a bunch of really good bits there culminating, and it returns at the night of the play. It's going. The storm is ready. He's been studying. He's been practicing. The storm uses its pronouns, I should say. The storm is going to take them by, well, tempest.
God, I love Pratchett so much.
Is it weird that when I read that part, I was actually like, oh, fuck yeah, the storm's back. And then I was like, am I seriously getting excited for the return of a meteorological condition?
Also,
yeah, that's Discworld. That's Pratchett. He does that.
Also,
it's great.
the storm greets the witches, and damn, I wish a storm could greet me. That would rule. Though it kind of did that one night we all went out as supervillains.
Yeah. That was so cool.
There was that earth-shattering thunderstorm. That slapped.
Yeah, and we were all dressed as villains. We were hanging out at this bar called the Pine Box in downtown Seattle, which is a former funeral home. So it was about as evil as you could get. It was fantastic.
Nice.
We got to do that again now that we're heading into summer of vaccination.
Yeah, the after times. And that's why Modem was okay as a parasol.
Okay, in terms of bit players, I really liked the Standing Stone, the weirdly cowardly landmark.
That was a good one.
Constantly hiding.
So nobody's actually sure how many there are because it keeps shuffling out of sight somehow.
I will also say I feel like this was the first time we really got to see dwarves.
Yeah.
As
anything other than a
not
weird bit.
Just kind of a joke or a weird bit, especially seeing Ankh-Morpork joke dwarves, and some of the recurring bits singing about gold constantly, but not necessarily in a weird way trying to go extra hard on it because it's in a city. It's interesting, and it's going to come into play more.
Yeah.
The fact that they are performatively dwarvish.
Yeah.
Especially the Huel has that conversation with the one that runs a makeup stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's he kind of drops the act when he realizes that he's talking to the person who wrote that play that he really enjoyed last week.
Yeah, that was a really good bit. And this is because usually when he's done the kind of weird fantasy parody or whatever, it's fallen flat, but I genuinely enjoyed this joke. It's, again, when he was writing it, it was generic fantasy, but now it feels like he's writing about, the setting the Dungeons and Dragons games take place in. Mm-hmm. But it's good. It's dwarves are all named, Redbeard, Rough and Tumble because, that's what they like to do. It's performative. It's when you're going out on the town, you carry your big axe, you braid your beard all up, and you drink, you quaff. There's a really good running joke about how quaffing is like drinking, but you spill most of it.
Just because you're a minority population in an urban metropolis, that doesn't mean you have to absolutely assimilate.
Yeah.
You still have to retain some sense of identity, and maybe there's an aspect of performativeness to that.
Yeah. The notion that they go extra hard because they're in the city and because they can't really be dwarfs, so they just play it up as hard as they can.
Yeah.
That is going to come up more and more, because that's going to come up every time we're in Ankh-Morpork and there are dwarves around.
I wonder if Pratchett will do anything with that in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. It's the seed of something that will eventually grow into more. It's fun. Well, if we're all ready for it, why don't we go to the big... Oh, sorry.
I have two more things. One of them is that there's mention Margaret adopts a tortoise as a familiar, just like Rainbow Dash. And B, there's a whole bit about the witches dancing in shifts, and I'm not, but it clearly doesn't mean there's a joke about how that's Margaret thinks she thinks it's about dancing in shifts, like in shift work, as in you take turns, but that's not what that means. So
yeah, they mean a nightgown. It's a British word for a nightgown or
Okay, thank you. I looked it up and didn't get that.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Okay. Official ranking list. Here it goes. Do we think that Wyrd Sisters was better than The Color of Magic?
Let's not insult Wyrd Sisters.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let me skip forward a little bit.
It was better than
past Equal Rights.
Go to. I was going to say Sorcery.
Do we think it's better than
put
Sorcery?
In the middle.
Yes.
I think it's better than Sorcery.
Absolutely.
Do we think it's better than Equal Rights?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we think
it had Granny and it was better Granny this time?
Yeah, this was fully formed Granny. Yeah. Do we think that it's better than Mort?
I want to say yes. I think
it had. volume-wise, I think it did better. It did not have quite. It didn't have like 2 or 3 characters having their character growth. This was a bunch of people. It had more quantity, I think, of story than Mort did. I might say yes. It's.
Yep.
I need somebody else to start talking so I can go back to thinking.
The problem is that I really liked Mort.
I'm going to say no.
Interesting.
And I think the reason for that is because when I look at what this book was trying to do, it feels like it was mostly trying to be a funny Macbeth parody. When I look at what Mort was trying to do, I kind of think about it, and I think about how it portrayed death. I think about how it talked about death at times. I think about what it tried to do, and I'm more impressed with it in that regard. And while I think this book is funnier, and I definitely read it easier, I like the ones that try harder even if they fail.
Damn.
I'm willing to buy that. Yeah, I think you convinced me.
I was going to say number 1, but that's actually a really good point. I think we got to put this in at number 2. Not because it's bad, but just because Mort has a little bit more clarity of purpose.
Yeah, the problem is, like, I like Death. Death is, he's one of the better characters in the Discworld. I like him. I like his stories. I like, when he shows up. We joked about Greebo, but I do kind of hoot and holler whenever Death shows up. It's, he's always a classic.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think this is going to be a difficult one in the future, just because, like, this kind of, I don't know, this set my baseline for what a good Discworld book is. Like, I liked it, I enjoyed it, I would read it again in a couple months if I thought of it. That is what I expect from a Discworld book. It's got a bunch of great gags, characters that I liked, a plot that has me interested, and hints at something more going on to the point of eventually establishing a bunch of characters that actually exist. This is kind of what I expect from a base Discworld book, and it's weird to consider Mort in that regard, because Mort is maybe better, but Mort also doesn't really feel like a Discworld book, maybe.
because, like, the thing about Mort is, like, I enjoyed Mort, but, like, we were talking about characters and chemistry, but, like, Mort the guy is fine, I guess. He has kind of an interesting arc with, whether he wanted to take Death's throne, but, like, that's about it. I can't even remember the name of the girl in Mort that he wound up marrying.
Isabel.
There we go. Like, there was, it's...
See, what's going to make this really complicated is because we're going to get, next time we have a really good one here, some of us are going to somehow think that, okay, presuming that we keep Mort on top and we put Wyrd Sisters below, we're going to have books that we thought were better than that were worse than Wyrd Sisters but better than Mort, and we're just going to have to start making a weird kind of 4-dimensional list.
Well, the big question is, like, to be clear, is our ranking supposed to define the most Discworldy of Discworld books, or is it supposed to define the best of Discworld books regardless of how Discworldy they are? Because I think some of the
latter, because you kept playing up as an objective list. And
some of the best Discworld books are also some of the least conventional Discworld books. One of my all-time personal faves, like in my personal list, definitely top 3, at least if not number 1, is Small Gods, and Small Gods is extremely atypical of a Discworld book.
Yeah,
I would argue that Going Postal is a very popular favorite of fans, and that one also does some pretty big shakeups with the formula. Monstrous Regiment is another atypical one.
I can see that, but I think it's less the formula here and more just that Mort felt, I don't want to say unfinished. It felt like a book that he was writing very early in his career, and he wasn't as good of a writer, I don't want to say, but it didn't feel like it came together as well.
Mort was a very good book, but it just kind of used the Discworld as a backdrop most of the time.
Right.
You could have put Mort into any other literary universe with very little adjustment being made.
Also, it just didn't work at times in a way that I don't think this book really ever did. There are times at Mort when I was like, I don't get this or appreciate it at all. I didn't really feel that with this book.
Do you think we should put Wyrd Sisters at number 1 then?
No, I still think Mort's number one.
Oh, well, shit.
I looking at it, I like what Mort did. I like what it tried to do, and I like it a lot. And if I had to say which book should you read is the better one, I'd probably recommend Mort to someone.
Yeah, if somebody did not know what Discworld was, hi Grace, Mort was.
I've read 6 of the damn books, Balina.
You don't know Discworld yet. You have to read 30 more.
That's sort of the thing. Is like you're starting this new. You are not. God, I can't believe I'm going to be saying these words, but you are not burdened with half-remembered snippets from the rest of the series.
I am a tabula rasa.
You don't have as firm of an idea as to what Discworld is. It hasn't ossified in your brain yet.
It has, however, fossified, which is what we used to call turning into free and open source software. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, God.
Oh. But I will agree that we should be ranking these on which books we thought were better as books rather than as Discworld stories. We might categorize things a little bit more. I mean, you've hinted in the past that eventually we're just going to have to build a tier list.
Yeah, we're going to probably hit a tier list after maybe like, I'm thinking maybe like book 10 or so, just because we can't keep like going through each like already with this one we were like, we don't want to fuck with anything below Sourcery. Like, obviously it's better than The Color of Magic, duh. And eventually that's going to open up even bigger questions because like for example, like I would put Wyrd Sisters in like pretty standard, like an A tier. It's an all-rounder. It's not perfect, but the stuff it does well. But above that, like, we've got to consider what the S tier is going to look like. And below that, we've got to consider what the B tier is going to look like. And that's going to be interesting because I feel like that's going to really sharpen some of the divides between
I think that
books.
At some point, like when we switch over to a tier list, we are going to have like half of an episode where we have to sit down and figure out where those dividers are. And that is seriously going to be at least half an hour, even if there's only 12 books to go through.
Mm-hmm. I think number 10 is Eric, and that's not a very long book, so that's a perfect time to do it.
Oh yeah. Okay, if it gets us to not have to talk about that one as much, that might be a good. God. Okay, I'm being very, very mean about a book I haven't read in 20 years, but, well.
It's got illustrations by Josh Kirby, so I hear. That's something.
Y'all keep talking about these future books, like, oh, these ones are great. It's a shame about the bad ones. Really selling me on these.
Yeah, we really need to stop doing this so much.
Because what if we find a bad... What if we find one that's like...
The thing is...
What if we come on to one... What if we, like, read Eric and it's like, whoa, this is really good, actually. Then we're going to look like assholes.
Well, we'll be the first Eric's Truther podcast.
Grace, you just have to realize we're doing this to get it out of our systems while we still can, because eventually we're going to hit a point where it's just like, okay, so the next 3 books, fuck, they're all great ones. Yeah. Oh, God, I love all of these. I'm so excited for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, just as an aside here, if somebody could just write in and tell us that we were already assholes, I thank you in advance.
Oh, I know I am. It's fine.
Speaking
of assholes, we gotta let... No, that's a horrible transition. Holy shit.
That's terrible. Oh, my God.
Speaking of
so are we putting this on 2?
Yeah, I'd say put it on 2.
In terms of, books I would recommend, I would, like... If someone I didn't know all that well asked me, Grace, which Discworld book should I start with? Because, well, it's never happened before, but there's a first time for everything. Some people will say anything, as these books are fond of saying. I would recommend Mort before I recommended this one. I think this is probably a better book than Mort, but I'm willing to put it at number 2 for the reasons y'all have outlined.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll put it at number 2, and then we'll see where it stands once the rankings fill out a little bit more. Because I still think it's going to be pretty high on the list.
Yeah, I think it'll be on the same tier as Mort, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So, you've got fan mail.
Speaking of people who are not assholes and who are delightful because they wrote into us, we have some fan mail. We have an email address, disc at hypnovire.us. That's DISC at HYPNOVIR.us. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, rants, or raves or about our show, or you just want to tell us what a great job we're doing, you can send us a nice letter, and we might read it on air. Today's fan letter comes from Jay, they, them, who writes, "Hey, y'all! Your talk about how creepy Terry is with his descriptions of younger female characters reminded me of a dumb thing I did while I was listening to an audiobook of Wyrd Sisters. Him clowning on Megret annoyed the hell out of me so much that I have made a witch OC that has basically the same body type, but I'm not going to be weird about her for not being curvy. Seriously, Terry, you can't talk about how flat a chick is for a whole book, only to make a joke about the jester basically motorboating her when he thinks he's dead. I hope you enjoy this in like 2 months when you actually get to Wyrd Sisters. Love, Jay." This was sent in April.
God, I forgot about that part.
It's weird that none of us remembered that.
Yeah.
There were more than a few jokes made about how Magritte is
absolutely.
not traditionally attractive.
Yeah. I was overcome with my love for Magritte because she's so good, and I love her and I relate to her as a big dumb idiot that I forgot that Pratchett's super shitty about her sometimes, because he totally is.
Yeah,
it was.
Fuck you, dude.
It was weird that she is holding the dying fool in her arms, and he just kind of really mashed his face into her titties because he hasn't felt boobs since he was born.
He just wants to feel a boob.
Which, I mean, I get it.
Pratchett almost wrote a good romance.
Yeah. I will say...
But he didn't.
Yeah.
He absolutely didn't. He'll get there, though, eventually. We'll see soon.
I wish I could say that he improves on this. But after Magritte stops being a full-time witch, they get a different witch in as the maiden role in the Maiden, Mother, and Crone trio. And Terry, as much as Terry likes making jokes about how flat Magritte is in this book, her replacement, he loves making fat jokes about her. And that's gonna suck to get through.
Right. I couldn't remember who it was until you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Masquerade's a great book, but not for that reason.
Y'all are not painting a great picture of Masquerade, but, I'm looking forward to it.
Masquerade has maybe my favorite joke in one of my favorite bits in all of Discworld. That I will say that in its favor.
The only thing I can remember from Masquerade, the only bit I can remember from Masquerade involves a very large wine bottle, and that's one of my favorite stupid jokes from the series.
Yeah. Anyways, Jay, your concerns are absolutely valid. That was bullshit. Mm-hmm. If you like our show, but you think that there was something in the book that was bullshit, feel free to write in and tell us about what you thought was bullshit, because we love picking these books apart as much as we love reading them. You can't truly say that you love a piece of media unless you're willing to critique it. Mm-hmm. I fully believe that. Anyways, do we want to wrap up here?
Yeah, it works for me.
I will note there have been a number of adaptations of Wyrd Sisters. I just like to point this out, because it's interesting to know.
I've seen an animated movie of it long enough ago that I remember the shitty TV that I was watching it on. It was okay. I mean, it was passable, but I don't really remember enough to go look it back up.
Specifically, it is a 6-part animated TV show.
Oh, an OVA.
Yes.
Well,
yes, the Discworld OVA.
Well, it's British, so they called it OVA.
Ah, of course.
Or egg.
But yeah, someday we will get an adaptation of Discworld that makes me go, yes, this is exactly what I've always wanted.
Someday.
But not yet.
I'm not sure if we really can, because Hogfather was really good, but the main thing it did was show that you can't do his stuff one for one or it becomes 6 hours long.
Yeah, oh my god, I actually saw that, and that was the biggest problem I had with it, was that it tried to do every single joke in the book, and it was just excruciating.
Yeah. We're gonna have to choose a that explains why I've only ever seen Hogfather in gift sets on Tumblr of
it makes
the good
very
jokes.
Good gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I eventually we're also going to have to hit one of the Watch books and listen to me rant about the Watch TV show and how utterly terrible.
Oh
it is.
God, yeah.
I'm actually perversely glad it turned out to be super bad because it means we don't have to think about it too hard.
Oh, thank
again,
God.
for the benefit of the readers, I linked one tiny little fact about something that happens in the first 5 minutes of episode 2, and the noises that everyone else in the call made were.
I'm still
probably
so
good. It was
mad.
probably good that they weren't recorded.
I'm still so mad about that. We're gonna have to talk to it when we get to the watch for sure. Anyways, thank you for joining us on our technically 7th, but really 6th episode of Disc Covers. We update generally more or less sort of every month. You can catch us on anchor.fm/discpod. We also have social media accounts, DiscPod on Twitter, and on Mastodon at discpod@queer.party, where you can keep up with when new updates come out. You can send us nice messages there. I really have to get more on finding all of the epic dank Discworld memes in existence so that I can start posting them on a regular basis. I need to find out what the memes are. If you know any of the memes, please send them to me. I need help. I'm old and scared. I'm Iris J. You can find me at Iris J Comics on Twitter and Mastodon.social. I have a webcomic, Iris J. Crosswires at crosswires.irisj.net. And also, I actually have something to plug.
Hell yeah.
Me and my husband, Nero O'Reilly, we're both cartoonists, and we both do erotica for slipshine.net. We are currently running a Kickstarter for the series we did for a while before our current one, called Golden Trick. It's a comic about 2 gay men who are con artists, and they also have magical powers, and they're trying to escape their city. It's a lot of fun. It's got some steamy scenes and some magnificent art, courtesy of Nero. I wrote it. Nero arted it, drew it, and it's inspired by a series that he did before that. It's really, really good. We're only trying to make it to 4.5K, so it's a really attainable goal. If you could go check out, I'll put the link in the podcast notes for the Kickstarter. Go check it out and maybe pledge if you're over 18. If you're under 18, don't pledge because there's sex in it, and if you look at it, your eyeballs are going to rot out of your head. But if you're over 18, check it out. It's great.
Go give them money, adult nerds.
Yeah. Sexual nerds.
Snurds.
Did y'all want to plug yourselves and your presences and shit like that?
I'm Juniper. Follow me at Twitter, on Twitter at Juniper Theory. I'm gonna go take a nap after this because I didn't go get enough sleep last night. But I'm very pretty, and you should follow me.
It's true. June is very pretty.
Yeah, she's hot.
I am still BALINA. I'm still on Twitter at Wolf CAU, pronounced Wolf Cow. If you don't know what my stuff is, then you probably don't know where to find me anyways.
And I am the internet's beloved Princess Grace. You can find my writing, programs, podcast posts, and everything else that's fit to plug at princess.software, including my software on floppy disk and some lovely stickers that actually our very own Iris J designed. So
Wow.
check it out.
I'd also like to add that BALINA and Grace are also very pretty.
Wow.
It's true.
What a lovely thing to hear
And
from...
Iris, you are also incredibly hot.
Wow.
What a good thing
Thank
to
you.
hear from local hot and cool cartoonist, Iris J.
I'm like icy hot. I'm hot and cool at the same time.
Yeah.
This may not be the only Discworld podcast on the internet, but it is the one hosted by the sexiest hosts, and you can take that to the bank.
Yeah. If you run a sexy Discworld podcast, maybe get in
Let
touch.
us
Maybe we can
let us know.
Yeah, maybe we can mud wrestle or something.
Yeah, send nudes. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to do that.
Don't actually do that.
Hey,
Don't
if we do have any fans that are under 18, please don't tell us.
Yeah,
please
don't tell us.
Do not do that, and don't tell us.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Anyways, have a good night, everybody, and keep on disking. Get ready for pyramids next time. That'll be
Oh
interesting.
God, no.
Pyramids is okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I wonder how many
okay.
razor blade jokes we're gonna get. I hope a lot.
Truly, they were the Wyrd Sisters.